for all of you who choose to get up at stupid o'clock, unless of course you're in a different time zone, which is how time zones work, and join us live. Welcome as you flood into the chat in your tens of thousands. But yeah, just before we go out with the real show, right, Ariel? So let's give this a test. We're going to select a random page. Let me see if I can get the blog to watch.
Can I explain
site up.
context so people aren't like,
Yeah,
why are
go
we
for
doing
it. Go
this?
for it for those that are.
So
that
there's
are
this
listening this
problem
time.
with watch collecting now. It's worse now than it was when I started. And it's that once you start collecting, it's difficult to go backwards and research something that happened before. Maybe if you're investigating a purchase or you suddenly find yourself interested in a type of watch or brand. But for the most part, no one's really going backwards. And I'm not saying aBlogtoWatch has everything, but we do have like close to 14,000 articles that we publish. That's, a good assortment of stuff. So the idea is, how do we, and people like vintage watches and I like these stories. So how do we bring them back to mind? I wouldn't call them vintage at this point. I'm simply saying, just because the watch isn't currently sold doesn't mean you can't get it, doesn't mean the story isn't cool. And so that's the larger goal. It's like, how can we, in some type of randomized way, because I don't know how we're supposed to think about this, revisit some of these watches in the past. I think the best thing to do is actually utilize Google, because our search tools are limited. And if you go to Google, I think if you type a specific date and the blog to watch, you might just get an article. I wouldn't like screen share that before you test it. But
what are you suggesting?
No, so I think, for example, if what you do is you type in aBlogtoWatch.com : and it says you're just searching from within that. You're not searching all of Google, and then you have the date.
We also
have
have page numbers. So there's 1,161 pages on the blog to watch website. So if
you can just edit the URL, put a random number.
A random page number, Ariel, between 1 and 1,161.
There's a reason they came up with random number generators as a tool.
Well, how far back do we want to go? Let's go back like what?
542.
542. That's what we needed. We just needed a decision.
It's not that difficult.
542 is this. What have we got? Cartier Extra flat watch.
But see, now you have the problem of having to narrow it down. My tool just gives you one. You have to talk about it. You're like, what do I like? And then, it goes back to not being random. I'm simply saying your system has flaws.
All systems have flaws. So give me a line number between 1 and 5.
Oh gosh. I feel like I'm going to be biased.
I think this has got more to do with your inability to choose things, Ariel.
That's okay.
With my system.
No human can.
Like what? A number between 1 and 5?
Let's look at the RJ. That's not even a brand that we can discuss anymore in the modern era.
Well,
this is going to be interesting because I have a topic, which is I'm going to a boat launch of a cargo ship later in the week. So I was looking for a watch.
That looks like a good watch. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's like a luxury cargo ship kind of timepiece.
Yeah. I thought the Titanic piece is maybe the one to avoid for them. So tell me about what happened. Do they still exist in any form?
Yes. I'm not allowed to talk about too many details. The brand is owned by a motivated consortium of watch industry experts who are working with the last engineer to work on it, which is Marco Tedeschi. So I wrote this in 2018, like sort of as he's just stepped aboard. Now we're talking about how how the brand is gone and how he's moved on to Cross Studio, but actually still has a relationship with RJ. So there's a chance that we'll see the return. Yvonne Arpa, I think he could also be incentivized to bring back the Titanic DNA.
Well, we got to get more pieces of the Titanic, right?
Yeah, I don't know how to do that properly. That's a whole other classification of artist.
Yeah.
That's a James Cameron type of endeavor.
Yeah.
Do we miss RJ? Did it bring you anything valuable to the watch?
So this collection, the Ara, is basically the Big Bang. Okay, so Marco Tedeschi, he's an engineer, but he learned a lot of what he did while working at Hublot with Jean-Claude Biver. And the thing that he was sort of the lesson of the Big Bang is if you have this modular design, meaning you just sort of change up finishes and materials and colors and stuff like that. You just have like one look. So that's what this was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like you just change up materials and certain things like that, and you have this modular kind of concept. This watch was very advanced for what Romain Jerome was. You had the quick release straps. You push those outside kind of screws. They're actually buttons. Again, it was just a very well engineered watch. Maybe you didn't like the style, but it was the most comfortable and probably sophisticated RJ. And when they were under the Manuel Emch era, the funny thing was they looked incredible and cool, but they were like ridiculous to wear, usually not comfortable, had all kinds of weird issues. Like it was very artsy at the time. And so Marco Tedeschi was trying to bring it back to being a wearable watch. I don't know how many people know this, remember this, but this is all context here.
Well, there we go. There's a
The
wee blast
shape
from the
of
past.
the hour markers that sit between the Arabic numerals are. Oh, yeah, that's a questionable one.
It's very Porsche
Phallic.
design.
We can call it a mushroom, but that would be selling it a bit short.
Well, if you look at Porsche design from about, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, they had essentially this exact same thing. This is just a slight variation on it. They had arrow hands. Yes, he tried to do kind of a weird curvature that I guess if you're looking at it wrong.
Okay, well, let's get on with the real show and escape the weird curvature. So we will begin as we are now beginning the show with a clap. A clap for Romain Jerome for all of those who haven't joined the show yet and need to go back and look at aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live. So 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Give you a round of applause for what you think of Romain Jerome. Yes, greetings. You have missed the Blast from the Past, which is a look back at a previous aBlogtoWatch article from, I didn't actually establish what the date was on this.
2018.
The date is 2018, a random number generator. Well, David was a random number generator this morning because Ariel's still showing complete inability to choose between the numbers 1 to 5 for reasons as yet unknown.
I stand by my statement. The humans are not good at doing anything randomly, let alone choosing numbers, and that's why random number generators were created for this precise, difficult issue.
We'll introduce random number generator. Well, see, I agree, but it doesn't matter if what it's being used to do is pick a random page that you have no inkling as to what's on it in the first place. But anyway, right,
Can't
let's
do it.
get on with let's get on with the show. And two things, because completely non-watch related, although one of them may turn out to be watch related. I really should get rid of this Romain Jerome article that's still showing, is Ripley. People have been asking, I've been literally getting single emails. Tashegate, what happened? Did you get called for court? Did you get removed? Did you manage to find them guilty quickly? What happened? There's no mustache anymore. Did it work?
No, I kept it on for the entire week, which past Easter, unfortunately. I did my civil duty where each night after 6 p.m. I call in to receive my instructions the following day. Upon Friday,
like
I was
Jason Bourne.
Yes, upon Friday, I was instructed that I had fulfilled it. I would not be getting called in. And I had worn a very questionable mustache around for the last 2 weeks, including to Easter with my fiance's family. And no one got to see it except her family. So
excellent.
Yeah, quite unfortunate, but we're clean shaven and we're going to keep it that way for the foreseeable future.
Good stuff. James in the chat is suggesting it blew off in a high wind, which also maybe
that's charitable. It would take a high wind. I think a gentle zephyr would be enough.
Gentle zephyr. Good stuff. Anyway, how is everybody? How are you, David?
I'm very well, thank you.
Anything exciting happening in your week?
In my week? Oh, jeez, no. Thank God. I can do without some excitement for now.
No excitement.
But thank you for asking.
My pleasure. Ariel, how are you?
Yeah, I guess I'm going to be taking a few weeks off of traveling to the watches. I think that's what's really typified the nature of our work right now. It's like watches are pretty small, but they are apparently a lot harder to move than people. So now, rather than watches moving to people, people now move to watches. That's the nature of our job.
That's a very interesting analysis of the situation. Any particularly interesting watches that you're expecting to move to you instead?
I don't know. There's a lot coming out now. When the show sort of died, I remember thinking to myself, there's no way these brands would allow multiple years to go by without having us see their product. And then we see what Swatch Group did. I was like, wow, they really don't care if anyone sees their watches. Like, they just don't
Jesus.
care. So I'm like, oh, this is not good. Like, we need to, shoot watches and get photography and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Thankfully, there's still way more watches than we could ever cover. But I sometimes feel out of touch because there's watches like I only see in the marketing images. And like, I think you become a watch lover and maybe a few months goes by and you're like, wait a minute, watches don't really look in person like they do in the marketing images. And so I recognize that. So I need to see a lot more of these watches. So I have to keep traveling. But yeah, I mean, it's still exciting to see the products. I think it's always fun. It's like, that's why people do those like car show meccas, you have to see the thing.
When was the last time Swatch actually had an event of any scale? Are they
In
doing-
August, in Geneva,
Uh-huh.
a couple of brands got together. We have no idea if they'll do it again. They have no idea if they'll do it again.
I wouldn't call that an event though. They just had people in a boutique. I don't think that's.
Hey, there was bread
a
on
low
there
bar.
that said Blog Pon on it with like a little
that's right,
coffee thing
yes.
and tents. That's an
Yes, I
not
forgot
Oh,
forgot
that's
about
true.
that. Umbrellas.
They had a
so
food
memorable.
truck. A
Yeah.
food truck is now a Swatch Group event. That's great.
Yeah, there was sliced meat.
Yeah, there was charcuterie. That counts. It's an event.
They thought it was
It's an
amazing.
event. If you're only allowed to eat food with your fingers, then it qualifies as an event. If they don't serve cutlery, then it's an event.
But they got to put their logo on white bread, and they thought that was the most amazing, ironic joke ever.
Because
they've
it's a
been waiting to do
Blanc
that for a long time.
Yeah.
They told me that. They're like, we got to be funny. We squeezed it through. We managed to do it.
And did they, on their enamel dials, did they have email as well? Like just printed out screens of email for any enamel dials that they had as well?
Yeah, they don't laugh at that though. No.
No, they don't find that joke funny. Right, okay.
Has Second Second done that yet? Where it's like an enamel dial that just says email, but the enamel dial depicts like a 90s email AOL browser type of screen?
You've got email.
Yeah.
There's it wants to be it wants to be reminiscent of those AOL discs that used to be attached to every magazine that was going, and it needs to be based on an Hublot really. So you've got the wee USB at the bottom as well.
You're
I
really
feel-
into the USB thing.
I'm still so into the USB thing. It's the
I've
only
never
reason I
felt
would-
I've never felt crazier trying to explain to a younger person that the internet used to come in the form of minutes and it was delivered by a desk, and you'd often find those discs outside of public restrooms.
I mean, the way you're putting this story is awfully suspect. Let's be
that's
honest.
interesting because interestingly, that leads us on to a little chat myself and Ripley had just before you guys joined us, which was I don't know how we got on to discussing Florida Man, but I did not know that this was a thing. But it may well also relate to the little discs being found outside bathrooms. And he encouraged me that there is such a thing as Googling your, as Googling your birthday and the phrase Florida Man and see what article pops up. I realize this has nothing to do with watches, but it was very funny. And I'm convinced there must be a watch link here somewhere. So let's try it. David, give us your birthday.
I'm typing it into Google now. I'm
All right,
supposed
okay.
to sharing it with the world, but okay. All right. Okay, so here's the first one.
Uh-huh.
Florida man arrested for drunk dialing 911 when he wanted vodka. Okay, that's good. Florida man sentenced in egg smuggling case. Florida man flushes buttocks at IHOP. We got there, but I guess they publish such an article every day. I mean, that's just a thing, isn't it?
This is the website.
By the way, if you're in Florida and listening, we know this is not representative of all the fine people of the state of Florida.
Of course not.
Of course not. Swatch
But you do
Corp
live
is
with these
located
folks.
there.
This is not mere coincidence. There are an awful number of articles like this. I do come across them quite organically.
So Florida man is an American tradition a European could never understand. In
Yeah,
Florida
David,
man-
is there like an equivalent?
Oh, here? There certainly are. We just don't write articles about them. That's all. It's just normal life. It's just daily life.
It's just life day to day in Hungary. I've
Yeah.
got Florida man arrested in pizza attack, and Florida man goes on a 2-week bender and winds up with 4 duffel bags containing $3.5 million.
When
And
these
finally,
guys
That's
go
cool.
crazy, do they buy luxury watches? Like during
well,
that
this is what I'm
several-week
thinking.
bender, are they buying any gold timepieces?
A
Why are
JJ
there s-
Leco.
I mean, think about all the boutiques down there. Of course, what are you going to do? You go on a 3-day bender, you wake up with $3.5 million in a duffel bag, and then you go hit the boutiques in Miami and you get yourself an Hublot.
Show me your
Sugge-
finest.
It's been suggested that Glasgow may be the equivalent of Florida. I would actually say it was more Edinburgh, but then I'm
Really?
from Glasgow, so I'd say Edinburgh. The English side of Scotland. Anyway, yes. So there we go, Florida man. I just thought that was quite good. Right, let's talk about some watches, but first of all, let's talk about a watch survey. Ariel, we're in the middle of a very substantial watch survey, and it is substantial, but it also comes with high rewards. And the first rewards have been given out. First two aBlogtoWatch survey giveaway winners announced. Tell us a little bit about the survey, what you're trying to do with it, and what is available to win if you simply take part.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, we're currently running what I call the aBlogtoWatch audience survey for 2025. This is a slightly different survey than we've ever done before. So I want to thank everyone that's participated in our previous surveys. We don't do this stuff annually. We do this every several years. And this is what I call a sentiment survey. And I'm trying to figure out, for the most part, a little bit about you, but also about how you feel about certain specific brands. And I want to do certain comparisons. So this is a bit of a bear. It's 45 pages. I'm just like telling everyone that because it's a lot. Most of it is the same questions, just different brands. So it's not that difficult to read. But we are giving out a lot of watches. You have no worse than a 1 in 200 chance to win a watch, which is pretty good. So thank you to the various companies that have given over watches for this good cause. It is an interesting thing to take. A lot of people have messaged me, said that I forced them to think about things that they hadn't really thought about. So I guess that's good feedback. So we're going to keep the aBlogtoWatch 2025 survey open for a little bit longer. Enter for a pretty good chance to win a watch, and to help us with some very interesting information that we can use to deliver not only great content but great insights to understand what's going on, and to help brands bring you the best stuff. I think that's really what it comes down to, is we want to give brands insights as to what you're thinking and feeling and wanting, and that translates into how they talk to you, the watches they make, how they price things. That's all very, very important. So there's a lot of upsides to taking the time to participate in the survey. Thank you.
I like the fact that Breaking News Beats in the chat did the survey as he waited to get some links fixed, which begs the question, which would be the best? If anyone can take their iPad or their laptop and fill in this survey while in a boutique and get like a shot of them sitting in a seat in Rolex or somewhere while filling in the aBlogtoWatch survey, then do send it in. But where would be the most appropriate place in the watch world to fill in this survey? Where do we
In the
think?
watch world, what like?
Yeah.
Well,
Where do
wait,
you
if you're on your phone doing it, you're going to look like you're doing some serious work. You're going to have that look on your face of deep thinking. So if you need to look like you're in serious deep thought and contemplation, or you're really working hard on something to those around you, but just want to do a survey, wherever that is a good thing. Yeah.
most appropriate watch boutique to do the survey in, Ripley?
Oh,
Thinking man. It's a thinking man and women's survey. What's a thinking man and women's watch?
Who's got a quiet, nowhere busy? It's, I want to sit down and be able to
Yes,
focus on
nobody
this.
there.
No one.
Bremen boutique?
Does Parmigiani have any boutiques?
Yeah.
I think it would be
Parmigiani.
very nice, very comfortable. Probably not very
Cheers.
busy.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Quietest boutique to go to, or the busiest boutique to go to, David? Preference?
Quietest. Wow.
Survey in a busy place or survey in a...
I don't know. Another place would be like a Frank Muller boutique where you're bombarded with colors and textures and shapes and texts and everything else. So, maybe not too many people around, but definitely a lot of impulses nevertheless.
Yeah, do you think you could be unduly influencing the boutique that you went into to
course.
answer different questions different ways than you would if you were just sat in a coffee shop?
I'm willing to
Certainly.
take that risk.
Unduly influenced by the fact you're sitting in a
We will
Breitling
accommodate
boutique
that
while you answer.
unfortunate bias.
Bias.
That's where you choose to do
Unconscious
it.
bias
By the
in
way,
watch
I was
surveys.
near a lot of Los Angeles fancy watch stores on Rodeo last week, and for the most part, the stores were empty, save for the salespeople in there. I think it's a slow time for them right now. I'm seeing that brands want to actively drive in traffic. I think there's good watches out there. I think there's good deals, but I'm starting to notice the brands don't feel that they can just have a fancy store and expect people to walk in. This is a time where they really need to embrace the community.
Yeah. I mean, does everybody feel? How's everybody feeling in the watch world? Do you think your own experiences in and out of boutiques or speaking to high hegians and watch brands? Does the market feel good, bad, and different, or just completely and utterly confused as to what's going on?
It's a week by week thing. I mean,
Mm.
arguably moods are up right now because it looks like tariff deals are being made, which looks at
Mhm.
look, businesses have to plan for the future. When they can't make spending decisions in the future, no money flows. When money doesn't flow, people don't get bonuses, people don't buy watches, people aren't celebrating. So there needs to be, the more predictability there is, the more spending that happens, the more opportunities there are for people to buy watches. So I'd say there's a low opportunity for people to buy watches now, but again, that could change very fast.
Well, that leads us on to Tudor, who are trying to make it an even lower chance of us buying one of their watches with the release of a limited edition Tudor Pelagos FXD Chrono Pink watch.
Are they like in
Ripley,
liquidation mode? What's going on with Tudor?
well, I was just going to ask that. Is something weird going on at Tudor? This is.
I feel
this
like they have like, oh
feels-
guys, we got to move a bunch of units. Like, get rid of these carbon things. There's not moving. Let's quickly get rid of them. Like,
Yeah.
or is it carbon or I
I-
don't know. This one's not carbon. This is
No,
just,
this is carbon. This is
Oh, it is?
basically, I had to do a double take. This is basically
Mm.
just like the FXD Chrono Cycling Edition that I reviewed, save for it uses pink details instead of red on the dial. And you'd almost think that they just misprinted it and just had too light of a hue of ink. But the counters have pink hash marks on this one rather than being white like the standard production model. Now, this is a limited edition, only 300 examples. You also get a case back engraving, and they're individually numbered, which is kind of rare for Tudor. And 300 is also seems very small for Tudor, but it seems like a very bizarre release from this brand that historically has been super consistent. Everything's pretty much a core collection or like,
Mm.
not a limited
Did
edition.
they
but
lose
like,
a bet? Were they only allowed to come out with pink and blue watches?
Well,
This
there's a
is-
reason this is pink. There is a famous bike race that they are the official timekeeper of, and the winner of it gets to wear the pink jersey. So it's the pink is the color, the symbol of this bike race in Italy.
So think of
and-
this irony. This one has a reason why it's pink, yet the one before it that was pink, everyone thought it had a reason, but Tudor's confirmed that it had in fact no reason.
Yes.
Mm.
So
I mean-
some of their pink watches have a reason, some don't. Same goes for blue.
Or any other color, yeah. But that's cool. I quite like this one though. I'm not a fan of. I'm still not sure about the FXD thing. If I would want to wear it in a.
I mean,
In the
it
long
just
run.
feels like they're trying to get rid of stock. Like, oh my god, we've built up all these chronograph units.
So
just
much
somehow,
FXD.
Somehow we got to get rid of them. Are they angry at Breitling? Like, what's going on?
They could just
Because we
mill
had
the
this.
fixed part out of the lugs and just sell it as a normal lug structure watch.
Because I've just had the F1 release, and then they followed it up with this pink release as well. It just feels odd. Do we need
They lost a
There's
bet
a-
with Rolex. That's what it is.
do we need to replace guess the price of a Seiko with guess the price of the Tudor? Because there's now more Tudors being released than there is Seikos.
No,
Or are
because we
still
know they're
some way
all
away from
about $5,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that?
You know,
It's
they
an
don't-
unexciting game.
Yeah, they don't
Unexciting game.
arbitrarily charge more for colors or anything like that. It's a pretty.
It's $5,600.
There you go. And do you know what all of the other FXD Chronos are priced at? $5,600 USD. So it's. I think we'll all be really good at this game if we want to play it.
So let's play guess the price of the Tudor. David, how much is this Tudor?
I think it's $5,600.
Ariel, guess from you, please. How much is this Tudor?
Probably around $5,000.
And Ripley, you wrote the article, so you already know the answer. So they go, yes, the answer is
Disqualified.
$5,600. In all seriousness, let me just check the well, the MSRP for the F1 was 7,500.
I mean, look at the whole design in the background there. I
F1
mean, can they
tax.
not do better?
Well, the F1 watch was a more
Do
substantial
better.
variation than this one. That one, I don't think we've had like a black bay in carbon before. This is
Hmm.
literally a dial variation with a case back engraving and a pink
I
striped
want
strap.
to know what Tudor's liquidating for. What are they clearing space for? Okay, they're not going out of business. Why are
Well,
they clearing space?
maybe
What's
Which
going
brand are
on?
they buying?
No, Girard Perregaux. They've just got they know their 11s is up, and yeah,
Are they
Rolex
coming out with their
killed
own
off. Not
chronograph?
Girard Perregaux.
Are they like
Carly
rushing
Brooker before I
out
get
all the
letters.
existing stock? Like, what's going on? I mean, that would make sense.
Is anybody buying Tudors?
Not according to that
Yeah.
report we recently saw.
Yeah, but that's my concern is that actually when somebody sits down and looks at the numbers at Rolex, they see how much money they're investing in Tudor, and nobody's buying them.
But
Well,
they're
I
not
think-
investing the same
Are
as
we
Rolex.
sure?
Rolex has marketing investment. Tudor
Mm.
sort of pretends to.
And I mean, a lot of what Tudor, they had a big amount of success after they rolled out the Black Bay, but the Black Bay isn't a watch where you buy like 5 variations of it. You know, you get
Yeah.
the one you like or the one that fits your wrist from a size perspective. And then I don't know anyone who's got like 4, 5, 6 Black Bays. And, you know, the Pelagos is just kind of like a modern Black Bay. So I can kind of see where they sort of hit the cap of what this design language was. Most people who wanted one got the version they wanted. And so they're
Mhm.
sort of slowing with that. I think they need to do something a bit more new and different to get people to buy a, you know, their second or third Tudor if they already have a Black Bay.
I think
Yeah.
the Tudor that was popular was when it had some bling, but was sort of an entry level Rolex. And then today, for
Mhm.
the most part, they've tried to remove all the bling, right? So it's too expensive for like the indie watch lover that likes this sort of like old style tool watches. Maybe it's a grail. Maybe for them the Tudor's a grail, but it's like 2 or 3 times what they can afford. And then for everyone that wants a luxury watch, it's not blingy. It's just more hipstery, right? So yes, there's a market for that, but it's not big enough. You know, and we saw that with Zenith, for example, that had similar low numbers, like similar kind of crowd. Like, are you the ironic rich guy that wants like the small, unpolished old thing that still costs $12,000? You know, obviously Zenith is more expensive, but I think Tudor has that sort of same vibe. You know, it was the date just, one that like the knockoff, not the date, but the day, and like they had their own little bling appeal, and now that's sort of all gone. So what Tudor hasn't done is used marketing to create a new image. They think that they can do it with product, and there isn't some $10,000-$20,000 sterile looking dive watch that is the market leader that they're competing with, right?
Mhm.
That's the thing. So it's not jewelry enough, and there's not enough of a brand message to say this is a Tudor guy or that's a Tudor gal. It's not Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Wonk, wonk.
So is the problem that they're being compared to their big brother, and probably that's what's happening internally in the boardrooms at Rolex.
Look, you
say
see
nobody buys
Longines,
very
you think
few people.
Breguet or
Mhm.
Patek, right?
Yeah.
Like when you see Tudor, what do you think? Like, oh, even Duchy or Panerai? Like
What you say?
what is where does that an aspiration to? Where do you go after that? Like the actual expensive vintage Rolex or something like that? Like it's
Mhm.
not an entry to anything. It's trying to just fit into sort of nerd popularity. And that's always a race to the bottom. Like we've seen that.
Speaking as a nerd, it's a race to the bottom. Yeah. So
I'm just saying, like, who's the guy who's also a brand whore, but also wants that vintage military watch experience? It's not enough people to sustain the hundreds of thousands of units. And again, Rolex is doing way better, close to 1 million, if not more than 1 million at this point, right? Tudor just needs to be in the hundreds of thousands. It's a great product, but what we've seen is the product itself is not enough to inspire the hopes and dreams of the mainstream consumer who's spending about $5,000. So the way it did it in the past was being kind of blingy and looking like a more expensive thing, which it doesn't do right now.
So
for the most part.
More bling is what's needed. I mean,
more bling.
The last great Tudor, I think, was the original launch of the GMT, the Black Bay GMT. I think that was when everybody lost their minds. that Tudor was now this great thing. And I think it's been largely downhill since then. Not like a steep decline, but just like a bumping along.
Well, it was a different era then for
Hmm.
GMT watches. We didn't have the Miyota 9075, so the fact that someone could get, that flyer style GMT functionality and not have to buy a GMT Master 2 was, there were fewer options. Now you have ample options below $1,000. You've got tons of options from Swatch Corp brands like Longines, Certina, Hamilton, Mito, that kind of fill the same void. Things with the Miyota go from 500 to 900 pretty much, so like you can get that same functionality and less, and there's plenty of micro brands doing a vintage inspired watch with that functionality. So I think, if the Black Bay GMT released today, it wouldn't have the same overwhelmingly positive reception that it did when it released back then. People would be critiquing the chunkiness of its case, the price point, whatever. But I think it was, at the time that it launched, it was not revolutionary, but it was a considerable value proposition for what it was. And that just is less so today.
David, future for Tudor? Is it just going to continue as is? Are they going to do anything that's really going to shock anybody, or
I
take them
don't
to the
think
next?
it's
I don't even know what the next level for Tudor would be.
yeah. I don't think it's quite so much doom and gloom. I think the reason why they were successful, at least my impression was during the early stages of the Black Bay era, was that it's probably one of the best watches you can buy if you're buying a watch based on the spec sheet and the price, right? It was a watch that would soothe the mind of the first time luxury watch buyer. I want the most amount of watch for my money for 5K. I want, like all the reasons, why these watches stood out. And anytime I would do a comparison in my head, I would have to like basically take the Black Bay and maybe even the Pelagos out, because it
Yep.
just gives you so much for so little. Not little, it's not a little amount of money, but still it's very, very competitive as a package. So I think they just have to continue hammering that message a little bit, although there's a cap to that. Every year there's many, many, many tens, if not more, thousands of people buying their first luxury watch, and they are seeking safety because they are not so sure about their taste, they're not so sure about their preferences, and they want to buy something that at least performs well for the money. So I think that's where Tudor comes in.
Before we let some of the hit miss maybe crew in, a question for you about Tudor. In the UK, you're seeing many more dedicated Tudor boutiques, and I wonder if that's a problem, because actually the best way for the single watch buyer to view that a Tudor is as good as it is seeing it next to other watches that are 2, 3, £4,000, appreciating that it feels solid, it feels well constructed, but sticking it in a boutique all by itself, where you have that intimidation factor of wandering into the mono brand, I just don't think is where you should be selling $4,000 or $5,000 watches. I think $4,000 or $5,000 watches you should be selling alongside other watches. If
I
you
mean,
think
aren't
you've
there
got the
enough
best
Rolex
bang for your
stores
buck.
that they could be sold in? I mean, let's
Well,
be
that would
honest.
be the obvious thing. The obvious thing would be to put a Tudor concession in a Rolex store, so there was actually something to aspire to and something for the people employed by Rolex to actually do all day in
That
selling
happens
Tudors.
not often enough. Don't get me wrong, there are places that are sold next to one another, but the fact that Rolex and Tudor aren't joined more often surprises me and shocks me.
Is there anywhere where that's all that's sold, though? I can understand there's plenty of multi-brand boutiques which sell Rolex, Tudor, and Breitling and Omega. Is there anywhere
It's
that
gotta
just
be
sells
rare.
Rolex and Tudor?
I've
never seen
heard
one.
of it existing. I've
Right,
heard of
okay.
it existing. I know it does, but I don't think it's very common.
Well, if anyone in the chat or anyone listening to the show wants to get in touch, you can email podcast at ablogtowatch.com or what can you do, Ripley?
Oh, we
You
have
can
a very long and
WhatsApp us.
cumbersome number on WhatsApp. You can.
I'll read it out, and all I need you to do is do the last 3 digits. So it's +44 7386 690.
897.
That's the one.
Seven.
Well done.
It's pretty
well
good.
Done. 897. That was pretty
So are we not talking about the Louis Vuitton and the Lange so we could talk more about this?
Right, let's let Matt into the lobby, and we will in fact talk about the Louis Vuitton and the Lange. Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Can you all hear me?
Good. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Welcome. Let's do quickly round the room and see who is where and what they are wearing. We may be expecting somebody else to dial in shortly from Dubai, but we will see. Matt, where are you and what are you wearing?
I'm in San Diego, California. I'm wearing a Seiko mod,
Seiko
homemade.
mod. Good stuff. Excellent. Like the whole thing or just the mod part?
Is that like homemade liquor? Like the same kind of pride? Like escape from
Kind of,
hostile.
I do a little bit of that too. A little bit of that too.
Pan your camera to the left and see the moonshine stills. David, where actually are you and what are you? What have you got on your desk? Because you're probably not wearing a watch. Let's face
Yeah,
it.
I actually am in Budapest, and I have on my desk the watch that I was wearing yesterday, which is the good old Casio A159 WAD, WAD 1D, the cheapest ever factory diamond set watch,
Brilliant.
which
Brilliant.
is
The
which
watch-
is pretty damn cool. Read my review on it because it's great. Not the review, but the
Yes.
watch. It's like $90, maybe 70.
Are they
It's
still
amazing.
available? Can you still buy them?
Yeah, you can find them online in places. Look at this.
Yeah,
This
but
is amazing.
Casio don't sell them anymore. Or
I
do
love
they
that
still sell
crystal.
Yeah, the crystal is cool. Probably worth more than the diamonds in it, and you do get the diamond certificate and stuff. So it's like a
Brilliant.
legit diamond gem set watch. So good, very comfy
It's
too.
the watch to which all watches should frankly be compared, and
Yeah.
one hit miss maybe. Ariel, where are you? What are you wearing?
I'm in was cold, then hot, now cold again. Maybe we'll be hot again next week, Los Angeles, wearing a Sartori Ballard SB 04E with a pink aventurine dial, which I chose.
Very nice, very nice, very nice. Is that yours or is it just in for a look?
I don't know.
You know, it might be yours. Maybe
It's actually
I like
related
it
to
enough.
tariffs. It's a complicated thing. So
All right, okay.
It's an unresolved thing.
So what we're saying is Matt is illegally producing alcohol and Ariel is running
No,
illegal
it wasn't
shipping.
supposed to be. It
gun
was
running.
before all that started. But anyways, it's a complicated issue, and
So we can't go
we'll have
back. The
updates
problem
in the
is-
future.
Tariffs I can't send it back to you. Tariffs, man.
Yeah, I was
Ripley.
It was a shocking bill. Okay.
Ripley, how's it going? What are you wearing and what brand are you repping in your clothing today?
I am in Los Angeles, as the wall would indicate, wearing the Notice Sector Field Titanium tag, obviously on the hat, and the shirt is obviously from the aBlogtoWatch store. It
aBlogtoWatch
is
shop.
the red and blue. Ariel, you might be able to give us the formal name on this one.
Oh. So is it? Oh, okay. So I thought it was an AP looking dial, but it's not. It's just the way you held it up made it look.
It's
square.
just the angular nature of my super sculpted chest. No, it is a
Exactly.
circular
Ariel, you're
bezel.
on mute.
Oh, so, what I'm saying is, Rick, maybe that you have an interesting thought. We could try taking that red and blue, but doing it in the AP bezel shape. It could just be kind of a weird like mashup.
Moser did that on that.
Moser, I think the world is crying out for a Moser.
Oh yeah, they did do that on that one.
The Moser mix T-shirt. Do that as a T-shirt. Nobody. It's not like Moser are going to sue you. I dare them. I dare Edward to claim to claim any sort of.
I don't like
right over a
Frankenstein's
T-shirt.
monster that much. Okay.
So I'm sorry. That would be my exit watch if I could get my hands on one of those. It still exists despite the fact. I mean, we've all seen it several times.
I've worn it. I play with it. I've shot it.
He came on a show that I was on and told me that watch had been destroyed after the controversy.
No.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
That's a cool urban legend right there. But
Yes,
that's it.
yes. Well, there we go. So it's definitely back. And I'm in Scotland and we're in Paris. And it's been 3 weeks of solid sunshine, another 2 weeks of sunshine forecast. No rain, no nothing. This is where you need
Are the plants all dying?
Well, yes.
Immediately.
Yes,
Are the animals blind? Do they know what's going on?
Everyone's staring at the thing in the sky, slowly going blind. Yes, but there we go. Right, let's hit miss maybe some watches. David, let's do one that you have written about. This is a review of the Rosenbusch. I assume is how it's pronounced. the Quest RB200 Midnight Blue and Emerald Green. Tell me about this watch and this brand.
Ariel would be better suited to tell you about it. We met the founder back in fall when we had an event in Munich with eBay, and yeah, it's a cool, novel brand, one of many that have joined this trend of integrated bracelet watches. Yeah, I actually start the article by saying that it's basically, this is the watch that tipped me over to accept the fact that this is a genre now, which I admit is a testament to how slow I am, because we all accept the fact that people are doing dive watches. Everyone's doing that with a rotating bezel and similar dial and case and bracelet and whatnot. But even until very recently, people were like, "Oh, why is everyone doing like this? It looks like an AP." Well, that's because it's a genre now. It's not just in the same way how we stopped calling dive watches Submariner copies, right? They are just the category, and now this is the category. So, like it or not, I'm not really a fan of the category itself or the genre itself. But here we are, and once we have the category, and then we can compare watches in it, and we see this tremendous variation in terms of price, in terms of quality, and whoever enters this market has to contemplate, okay, do I want to sell a watch for 500 or 1,000 or 1,500, and how much quality can I cram into that, and how much quality can I get out of my suppliers for any given price point? So this is where it gets interesting to me.
Let's let Ralph into the room. While he's coming in, Ariel,
Hello.
You've handled this watch well. Good morning, Ralph. You've handled this watch as well, Ariel.
Briefly, I actually saw these guys in Geneva because I think they actually went to Time to Watch this for the first time. David's more immediately familiar with the product, but I've been thinking about what he said about this being a genre, and I think that the best way to name the genre is something to do with Gerald Genta, like Gentamania or something like that, because that's really what it is. It's a bunch of stuff which is it's decreasingly directly based on what Genta did, but it's still all based on a shape and a style that he popularized. So Gentamania until anyone can figure out better. The thing I worry about this is that, on the downside, it's in danger of cannibalizing itself. Like there can't be this many interest in shapely integrated bracelet watches. With that said, similar to the dive watch area, it's such a robust area for competition. And so what you have people trying to do, as David said, is kind of outdo one another. And you don't really have that everywhere. You don't really have like the race for the cheapest minute repeater. But here you have like how much detailing, cool movement can you do for everywhere from 5,000 to sometimes close to $4,000. And there's a huge amount of variety, and there's a lot of great things. It's helped popularize the quick release bracelets and nice color dials. So it's overall a good genre, but it's difficult to support any one of these over another. I mean, there's just so many options out there. Who's on mute now?
He'll get it eventually, right?
We don't hear you, man.
Rick, you're still on mute.
It's not
I'm
even
on mute. Sorry, I put Ralph on mute. I thought you were saying. So Ralph is now off mute.
You unmuted me, yeah.
I unmuted you and forgot to unmute myself. Yes, amateur mistake. Where are you, Ralph, and what are you wearing?
I am in Dubai, and I am wearing a German watch for a change, and that's my pretty new one. This is a DUG Purist Type 2. It's a small brand from Glashütte. They actually even are allowed to put Glashütte on the dial.
Right.
Though it is a very nice construction. You can get it with these numerals, Arabic numerals, or stick indices, 4 different dial colors. It's very nice.
Have you got shares in this
have a
company,
German.
Ralph?
Sorry?
Have you got shares in this company? Are you getting a cut?
No, I don't. And actually, I paid for this watch. And it actually has a very nice movement. It's not a German movement. It's a Swiss movement. It's a Celita SW400 that is decorated and hand decorated in Glashütte. So somehow they got around the Glashütte rules that you have to make the watch in Glashütte. But it's very nice. And it's about
only a few
euros,
years until they have something original looking.
Yes, James,
No,
I
I
did
like
was
the,
on
the
mute.
attention to detail, because they also have these, they have a version with a date, without a date, and they're not actually having a ghost date.
The Germans love
position. They use
too
field
many
of profile.
choices, right? Like when you buy those, like, do you want your movement decorated? Oh gosh, why are you asking me? Why would you have the non-decorated option if there's a decorated option?
Right,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Rosenbush the Quest RB2 Rosenbush the Quest. That just seems like an odd
You know, the quest for the Rosenbush.
syntax.
You know that bush, the Rosenbush.
Sounds like a 1990s
Wait,
Atari
The
game.
Quest. This is seeming awkwardly familiar. Isn't that the name of Vacheron's movie?
Yes.
Campaign.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone's on a
okay.
quest now.
Everyone's in a
The
quest.
Quest.
Better than being ultra.
Ripley,
So
you
I
remember
did,
our
like,
joke
watch
about
it.
the quest? How many things on
Watch
the
me
same
because
day
art.
had the quest in it? We were like, get your name. Like everything is the quest.
And now
Go
we
to the
have
bathroom.
Rosenberg Quest. Rosenbush
Fine.
Quest?
Right, okay. Call to order. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Miss, maybe,
Uh-oh. Sorry.
maybe, miss, maybe. Yeah. Matt, I think you are. No, Matt has disappeared. He hated it that much. Ralph, tell us a
Yeah.
story. How did you vote?
Yeah, I voted miss.
I voted maybe, and for me, it's just one of these watches nobody really asked for, but it might find some fans. So that's for me. It's a maybe. So
Good.
not for me,
Matt,
but
you gave it a miss.
I gave it a miss. I found it very distasteful, and I would rather not look at it again. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's fine.
Very derivative.
That's a derivative, yes.
Yeah.
David, did you get my maybe?
I gave it a maybe because I think there's a very strong market for these watches out there, and the quality was certainly there. So I respect the fact that there's been quite a bit of attention put to its details, and the price is not stratospheric. So if you're liking the looks and you're in the market for something like this, I don't think it's a bad choice. I think that's why it's a maybe. I don't like this genre at all, so I'm not in the market for it. But that's just a tasting.
But Matt would appreciate it if you did choose to buy one that you never visited him. Ariel, how did you vote?
So I said maybe, just because again, there's a lot of these. One thing I want to say about this, which is totally weird, is when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's trying to be a Dietrich. In person, it looks less like a Dietrich than you'd think. I know that sounds crazy, but it really doesn't look as much like a Dietrich in person, even though it does.
Not at all.
Can't explain it. David knows what I'm talking about.
I don't understand.
Just a
It's
weird
clear-
thing.
It clearly
Yeah.
looks like
But
a
they're not
Dietrich.
bad. They're not bad.
Right,
Because I only ever saw this in person or in the metal. When people said it looks like a Dietrich, I was like, huh, maybe, I guess. But but you have to
pictures
see
it
the
does,
yeah.
but not in person.
What a weird conundrum that is.
Okay. Ripley, how'd you vote?
I said it's a maybe. It does look like a Dietrich, but it also looks like someone said, we're going to combine the Royal Oak and the Nautilus. And then they did that. And then they said, okay, well, you can't make it look just like that. Make it, like the homework, make it look a little different so they don't know I copied. And then they arrived with this. And then there's so much I don't like about it, but the little weird seconds hand with the minute track being positioned, I don't like it, but I don't dislike it. At least it's something different. So I said it's a maybe. It's I'd want to see it in person to just sort of see the quality of it. It seems like a decent value if you're looking for this type of thing. But yeah, it's an interesting watch. I can't say it's a definitive miss.
James making an interesting point. It looks a bit like that Creedor. It does indeed. It looks like you know the guy that Ulysses Nardin had making the paper mache watches.
No.
Do you remember watching one a couple of years ago? Makes the paper watches.
Labeg.
Already
Yes,
forgotten.
Labeg, him. It's a him. This looks like every watch that he makes that's supposed to be round. They all end up looking this shape. And I don't understand the naming convention either, so it's a miss for me. So this. If Labeg made this watch, it'd be an identical copy. You'd be able to make it absolutely precisely, because you can get those angles sorted. Right, let's move on to the next watch, and that is going to be Mr. Ariel Adams has reviewed this from Louis Vuitton. the Louis Vuitton Tambour Tycho Galactic Automata Minute Repeater watch. Go on, Ariel.
I mean, the name says it all.
What
Well,
does the name actually say? I mean, realistically, what
you
does
have
it
the
actually say?
Tycho version of the tambour case, so we got that.
Mhm.
And the whole galactic thing is their way of saying space stuff, which is basically what it is. It's space stuff done very well, but space stuff. And it's an Automata Minute Repeater. So when the Minute Repeater is activated, there's a bunch of animation happening on the dial, like the astronaut waving the flag and stuff spinning, and it's a bunch of nice toys. The detail is like impeccable. The dial has been like hand painted. It's crazy detailed. The quality of the little engraving and all that. It's easy to miss the fact that there's a Louis Vuitton-branded astronaut.
It's not.
And
It's not easy to miss that. It's not easy.
Well,
to miss
it's
that.
like-
come on.
I guess the whole absurdity of it, you know, it would be like a Starbucks branded astronaut. Like, I don't want to go to that astronaut training school. Like, I don't know what their point is. Like, I'm sure they're gonna like be very well energized. In this case, have very nice luggage. But you know, planting the flag of Louis Vuitton, I don't know what colonial message that sends.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting watch. It reminds me that they're of something that they'd be trying to excite Pharrell Williams, who's the creative director of Louis Vuitton now. Though my understanding is that even though he's a watch person, he hasn't involved himself, and he's been very interested in astronauts as themes for variety of fashion. So, and he has a Richard Mille with an astronaut helmet like dial. That's like the thing that he wears. So, I don't know. It's weird because it's sort of like they're trying to say it's not from him, but it's sort of inspired by him. I don't know. So it's a lot of detailing. You know, stratospheric price that they refuse to talk about. They told me, but I forgot in passing. It's very high.
It's
Very
not in the article, is
impressive.
it? Right, okay.
I think that my favorite luxury part is the gradient of precious stones on the minute repeater lever itself. You sort of have to look at it on the side. But
Oh,
there's
right,
these
okay.
beautiful gradient of stones there. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really know what else to say. It sort of speaks for
Well,
itself. A lot of
let's give it a
opinions,
hit.
I'm sure, just
Hit,
forming
miss,
up
maybe
inside
then.
of someone's gut.
Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Is it maybe 1, 2, 3, go? Maybes, hits. Matt, why is it a hit?
I mean, come on, this thing's incredible. You've got take me to Planet Louis all day long. I'm ready to go. Get me off this hellhole. You know what I'm saying? It looks
Just
so
'cause you live in
fun.
California.
I
doesn't
know
mean
it's not too
moon is
bad
your
here,
only
but it
option
looks
of
better
escape.
there. Yeah, I just think it's fun and imaginative, and it could have been
More tasteful.
definitely
still?
maybe could have been a little bit more tasteful, but they could have gone more over the top with the LV branding. So I actually think there's some restraint in a bizarre way, and I just think it's cool. It's absurd. I'll never see it. And who doesn't like a crown at 12 or 6? You know, it's space. We don't know which way's up around here, so it's hard to say.
So a bulldog cry is fine. Ralph,
Do you ever wonder where that view is from? Like,
I was trying to figure that out.
above
As
the
to whether that view
moon.
is actually
That's
possible.
the moon, yeah.
Can you be on the moon
And see the
and
Mars.
see the Earth like that?
And see
Was that not
Mars
supposed
quite
to
so
be-
large.
No,
Is
no,
that
that's
not
supposed to be the sun.
You can, I
Actually,
think there
It's
was
supposed to be the sun.
Is it a
there was
sun?
a famous
it's supposed to be. It
I think there was
spins.
a
It- when
famous shot from the moon. See this the actually the
Yeah,
Earth
but is
rise.
Africa?
Moon rising.
Does
Earth
Louis
You're-
Vuitton realize that we've already been there? They're not planting any flag that's new.
Maybe they know something.
They
Space, the
just wanna have a
final
Me Too
frontier
flag.
of
We've also been
LVMH's
here.
portfolio.
Yeah. There's
First
gem
of the
set
luxury
space
brand.
trash floating around. That's great.
Yeah, Louis Vuitton luggage in space. It's just what you need. That's how to stop the alien overlords finally arriving. Ralph, did we get your vote? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a hit. I mean, for me,
It's a hit.
very clearly a hit. I mean, this is the Fabrique du Temps at its best. I think it's creative, it's fun. It's as Matt said, it's just fantastic watchmaking. You have a minute repeater in it, the automaton, maybe a few too few Louis Vuitton logos on the astronaut. I think it's only 5 or 6. I mean, could be more.
Needs more.
So,
Yeah.
no, it's actually, I think it's really a lovely watch, and I think they're firmly planting their autohorology part in the watch world, just as a halo product for all of the tambours that they're going to sell, which I also think are amazing watches. So it's really good.
Okay.
They're going somewhere.
They're going to the moon, it would appear. David?
I gave it a maybe. The quality again is still outstanding. I can tell just from these pictures, which are very nice, by the way. It's you know, it's like the lacquer, the way it's applied, the on the astronaut, the whole thing, the movement looks amazing. I was just laughing at this astronaut waving the Louis Vuitton flag. It's like the Astra douches of the future. Like, look at me, I have Louis Vuitton. You know, it's like you can have like empty hands or something like that, but you have to have other astronauts see that you are rocking the LV logo. You know, it's like
You know that Bezos is designing
Yeah.
his next.
So we'll be looking
spacesuits
down
with
at the
Louis
Gucci
Vuitton.
astronaut.
oh my god,
next doors.
yeah.
Gucci
Oh my
astronaut.
god,
The old Navy astronauts.
But this is really the future of douche, space doucheness. I love that. The quality again is outstanding, so that's great. The price is probably exorbitant at like 700,000-800,000. It's like probably 3 times as much as it would necessarily need to be. Well, whatever. Fun times.
Ariel?
I mean, you can't not wear it because of just all the time and effort. It's like you have to have respect for the artisans and the painters, the engravers, the watchmakers, all the people that put this stuff together. I laugh when I see the animation because it's just like the expense versus the toy factor. I mean, it is a very expensive toy. Just
I
a
assume-
very expensive toy. You have to know what it is, celebrate it for what it is. But
Yeah.
there's like no crowd of people who aren't going to be delighted by it. Like it'll make people smile in any room, everywhere. Don't tell people what it costs, but like it's a crowd pleaser across this planet and others apparently.
I'm assuming the astronaut waves the flag and the little blue thing and the satellite spins. What else does it do?
There's I don't know if it went through the
automata-wise?
embed, but if you click on the article, there's a little video that I published on Instagram that shows the animation.
All right, okay. It doesn't come through on the embed for me displaying it on.
Okay,
on
I
here,
might
so
have
you
to
can go and check-
re-embed that. I don't
Go
know
and
what's
check
going
the
on.
article for that. Ripley?
I said it's a hit. I mean, this is fun. It, like Ariel said, it's a very expensive horological toy, but I think it's very earnest about that. This isn't a very serious piece, despite being very serious from a mechanical perspective. I like the weird imperialism of the Louis Vuitton astronaut planting the LV flag in the only thing that LVMH doesn't seem to own, which is the moon right now. I think it's cool. I think, the minute repeater itself isn't really all that practical to us. So if you're going to do a minute repeater, have some fun with it. And this is tons of fun. It's beautifully executed. It's a fantastic toy, space themed toy. If you were left cold by the moon, swatch, here is the ultimate space novelty thing.
Do minute repeaters work in space? If you put a minute repeater in zero gravity, does it still work the same, or does it do something slightly different because there's no force on? I don't know. Just feels like it might not make the same sort of noise in space.
It works in space.
In
don't
space,
worry.
no one can hear your minute repeater.
Sound travels in space.
Next alien. Oh no, it
I don't
doesn't
think it
travel
would.
in it doesn't travel in space.
It would
No, I
work.
mean like
Whether-
in the spaceship. Oh, you're talking
In the
about like in the
spaceship,
vacuum
but-
of space. But then
Yeah,
no
but the
one's
guy-
there
the
to
guy-
listen.
No, but the guy's got it on his wrist. And
They'll move around. You might not. You won't hear it necessarily. I'm just saying in the spaceship without gravity, it'll work.
in the spaceship.
You mean the vacuum of space?
How annoying would that would be the astronaut that you would bump off in the movie, the one that brought the Louis Vuitton minute repeater into the 9-month space adventure. Oh, look at my minute repeater. I'm curious as to where the missing L is. There's a V on the spaceship, but
It's on the other side, I guess.
No, they do the
It's
V
hilarious.
only a lot of the time. That's the thing.
do they really?
Yeah.
Not being a customer of Louis Vuitton, I did not know that. There you go. Every day is a school day.
But I think,
right.
Richard, you have a great idea of a minute repeater that doesn't make a sound.
That's a
That would be
Moser minute
something for
repeater
Moser.
Has no hands, and the sliders connected to nothing. Yes, I like that idea. Let's do that. Right, finally for today, let's have a look at the A. Langenzona Minute Repeater Perpetual Watch in Platinum. Okay, who got to see this at Watches and Wonders?
I played with it.
You played with it. Did you feel that it would work in space?
It's pretty wearable. It's pretty small for a minute repeater. That's sort of the whole point of it.
Mm. And what else did you observe about it? I think it does it pass. Yeah, it passes just about passes muster in terms of the perpetual calendar showing everything consistently the same way, except for the enormous date window. Is it
This watch is basically kind of like an FU to Patek Philippe.
right? Okay.
Like you don't
I
need
mean,
to
is that what?
convince any Longue people to like you more, but they're like Patek is like, oh, we have these small minute repeater perpetual calendars because they claim that the Longue ones are too big. So Longue is like, okay, and it's like like almost $1 million.
Is that right? Is that the contest? Is there genuinely, or is it just made up by us that the guys at Lang are just going, yeah, we can do everything Patek can do better, except we don't have the name Patek.
No, between Longue and Vacheron, they're hitting Patek while they're down.
Hmm.
They're
Successfully?
trying to Patek for a long time has claimed that from a watchmaking perspective, oh yeah, others can do it, but we make it the finest, we make it the smallest, we make it the most wearable,
Mm.
and now others are biting at the chops. I mean, yes, previous Langenzona minute repeaters have been rather big by comparison, so they wanted to have a classic small wearable one. It's not small, but it's like wearable one. It's not some of the 1815 minute repeater that was huge, and the Zeitwerk versions that are chiming are arguably quite large. This is full on a Patek Philippe competitor.
Okie dokie. Well, let's 750,000 euros. You've mind you, $1 million probably, isn't it? Let's give it a vote. Is it a hit? Is it a miss? Or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit. Maybe. Three maybes, two hits. Matt, why is it a maybe?
It's obviously so beautiful, and everything is so thoughtfully curated on the dial. Really, to me, it's a hit, but philosophically, I have to give any hand-wound perpetual calendar a maybe. I just cannot abide by the absurdity of a hand-wound
Yes, you have to wear it.
calendar
You see,
every day, and I'm sure
actually,
it's
yeah, I'm changing my hit to a maybe too. I might even move it to a miss. That's a very good point. And it's got
it's
pushers as well, isn't it? To set it, presumably.
that's
even-
yeah, that's I am curious how it's set, and I guess these days it's got to be easy to set. You got to if you're really gonna compete with Patek, you got to make it easy to set. But I just
very
can't do
poor
it.
water resistance as well. So I think it's definitely a miss. Can't go deep sea diving.
Yeah.
Ralph, how'd you vote and why?
I voted maybe. I think I'm tending to a bit of the miss in this one. I love Lange. I think it's just too classic looking. It's just a bit of a miss, as in they had the chance to make it a bit more fun, but I guess they went the exact super classic way of how they make their watches. I guess that's the audience for this kind of money. But and to your point, I don't know, Matt, I don't know the power reserve of this watch, but I think it's
about 20 minutes probably.
with the minute repeater in it.
Looking at what's going
Who
on.
knows?
That minute
But yeah,
repeater
in
is gonna
general,
suck the juice.
Yeah, I love Lange, and I think the design is generally lovely. Still have a bit of a beef with this two plane date window, right? That it's not on a single plane because I think they don't have a patent for it. But other than that, yeah, it's for me, it's a maybe.
Ariel,
I am also among this type of people that don't want any manually wound perpetual calendar, especially without a power reserve indicator. You're just asking for trouble, and you're just going to be looking at a calendar which is wrong all the time, which is sad because that's like most of the dial. So it's like it's a lovely watch from a technique perspective, but it's actually not what I like Along and Zona about. I'm not really into perpetual calendars or minute repeaters. And sort of as I said, this is not a product they made for traditional fans. This is them trying to branch out a little bit and get some market share from others, and they can do it very well. And so from a technique perspective, you're like, wow, they can make a very wearable, you know, you know, that you can wear on a daily basis in terms of like basic durability, minute repeater, perpetual calendar. Great, you can do it. But for that same amount of money, I'd have like multiple other Longues and be probably happier.
When you say market share from others, I mean, they're saying they're only going to make 50 of them. Well, there's not really a market for this, really, is there?
Oh no, there is, because it's not just this watch and what comes after it. All those people
Uh-huh.
that want this but can't get it, now they're waiting in line for the next one. So the group of people out there that buys these level of watches is finite. And
Mhm.
if you miss them at one watch, you could easily get them for the next time around. Once loyalties shift, it's kind of difficult to shift back.
And do we know? I mean, you'll know more watch collectors than I do. Have you come across people that were the Patek man? That was it. And now the convert, the zealot, they now are for A-Lang and Zona because they've switched sides.
Yes,
Like, is
yes,
that
I have.
actually a thing that's happening?
Yes.
And are these the most annoying people you've ever met?
Well, they might be listening.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious as the process. Somebody's bought Pateks all their life, and do they move to A-Lang and Zona because it is a better watch, or because they can get it, or
Look,
what
super
puts them off?
fans demand a
Hmm.
ton of attention, and they
Right.
they become super fans because the brand treats them nicely. Over the last several years, the reports from a lot of Patek buyers, longtime buyers, is, oh my God, Patek has gone from treating me nicely to just treating me like some other schmuck that's trying to buy one of their watches.
Right.
And they've gone from being super fans to like enemies. You know what I mean? Like the crazy ex-girlfriend thing. So it's not like they're just like passively like, okay, I don't buy them from you. They're like, I used to love that brand. They were great. Then they wronged me, and I'm gonna let everyone know for the next 5 years.
Right.
So
Okay.
I there's a real sense of that happening rather than just like, oh man, Longue. I mean, I'm a Patek person, but I gotta hand it to you. You really outdone them. Like
Yes.
that's not so much going on as much.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm getting at. So there's the people who make the move because they appreciate it better, but actually it's a mixture of being put off Patek and they're being pushed and then eventually pulled by the product that exists at A-Lang and Zona, but they're actually leaving not liking Patek rather than just going, oh, this is a better watch and I can get hold of it and like this.
I think Longue has internal pressure not to only make expensive watches, but to make more expensive watches because they're not going to increase production. They obviously want to make more money. I think that they're trying to see what they can get away with at this price point. And it's a good place. Obviously, they haven't started here, but it's a good place to do something super classic where you could like change the name to Patek on the dial and nobody would be like, what's that?
Yeah. And do A-Lang and Zona have a future doing this within Richemont Group?
Let's find out.
Going much more expensive, much
Look,
more limited.
the Odysseus, the sights were set on the Nautilus. Like they're obviously like a shark circling around Patek.
Okay, Ripley, how did you vote?
I said it's a hit. I mean, just look at it. It's gorgeous. And I mean, okay, manually wound perpetual calendar, definitely not the most practical. But if I'm spending like $1 million on a watch, I probably have a large staff of people, including
for that.
exactly a manservant named Chives, whose job it is to keep this wound and set for me. So like, yeah, why not? And, I get to look at more of the movement, and it's his problem to keep it wound and set for me each day. But yeah, that's a hit. That thing's gorgeous.
Do I have to remind you about the watch butler?
Yeah, exactly. We have a watch butler, or with like, some Bulgaris or that work, it comes with a watch butler box that keeps it wound and set for you. In this one, you just have the old school version of just some man on staff for you. But yeah, this thing's gorgeous. It's pretty.
The world's newest technology, winding the world's oldest technology.
I mean, maybe there is a watch. Has there ever been a watch winder designed that actually winds the watch as opposed to makes the automatic movement spin?
Yes. That
And,
Bulgari ultra thin thing has
Mhm.
this box you put it into that both like winds and sets it because there's no crown. It's just like a gear, exposed
yes,
gear on the side, basically.
I'm more meaning like I can go and buy from a watch winder something, and I can put any watch that's a manual watch, and it will just wind the crown for
It's
me.
called a Dremel and a piece of chewing gum.
No. No, they do have it. They're actually engineering difficult because you have to have an overwinding protection, right? Because you
Yes.
actually, with not all manually wound watches, but many of them, you could overwind them.
Yeah.
So they're actually way more expensive than the automatic watch winders for the
Oh, I'll
most
bet
part.
they are.
Well, yeah, you think about the things that come with them. I think Longa has that torque wrench that you screw it into the back of one of their watches to wind it. Or maybe it's JLC who has that. And then Hublot on some of their watches with like those crazy power
No,
reserves.
the
It's
Longa 31.
yeah, the Hublot's got the little gun torque winder thing that you clip onto the crown and pull the
My
trigger.
favorite was from Kabistan. Remember Kabistan? And they came out with this thing. It was a
Kabistan.
mechanical like winch that sort of like increased the torque, and it
No,
was more
let's-
complicated than the watch in some instances. So people would lose it. It would cost them a fortune to replace it because it was like this mechanical little tiny thing.
Oh, let's see if we can find that. Did we ever write about it? The Cabazan Triple Access Tourbillon Full Sapphire.
I may have had a picture of one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah.
This
is
is
Cabistan.
esoteric beyond
Yeah.
belief. Okay.
Here's Cabistan for all of those that are watching.
But design, I
in
think that was Eric
Technicolor.
Coudray, the same guy that did the gyro tourbillon.
Yeah, it's a gyro tourbillon this, or triple access tourbillon, but effectively looks the same.
So
thing.
what?
It's
It
got a
wasn't
normal
this
crown.
watch that helped wine.
Yeah.
It was a different one.
No.
Cool watch,
So,
though. Cool watch.
You know, if you had your manservant Chives, he can wind any watch. It's not watch specific. So
What do you get to do to Chives if he overwinds your watch?
Yeah.
he goes in with all the previous
for the
Chives into
service.
the dungeon.
There you go.
Now we know what the wall is for.
need a chive
behind
repeater.
Ripley. A chive repeater. Good stuff. Well, I can't remember how. I think I gave it a hit, but I'm changing that to a miss because of the whole manual wound thing. That's a very good point. Thank you for educating me and making me more biased. Good. Right. That is our show for this week on the main episode. If you want to listen to a little bit of post-match, you'll need to go to the aBlogtoWatch Weekly Live channel to see what happens next. But from this show, it's goodbye from all of us. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
And we're still here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the chat. That was good. So, what's happening next for everybody? Anything exciting coming in the watch world this week? Anyone is looking for? Oh, I said at the start of the show, I'm going to a ship launch this week. What's the
Oh,
most
cool.
appropriate watch I should wear to the launching of a ship?
Is that where they launch a new ship, like maiden voyage, or are they like unveiling a new ship concept?
Is the
No, this
champagne
is
bottle being
maiden-
broken?
This is the champagne bottle being broken.
So a tuxedo watch.
A tuxedo. Well, it's in Liverpool, so it's going to be cold and possibly wet,
Cold?
unlike Scotland. So I need something.
Maybe-
something appropriate.
A Panerai? I mean, it kind of
Just
feels
so
right.
happens, Just so happens, does feel right. I think you got a very good point there. I think that's what we'll
They
They
have,
love
like,
boats. They really love boats.
Take-
they bought a
take
boat
a-
and then made a watch
Yeah.
and part
No,
of a boat.
you need a tuxedo watch, a very thin, elegant dress watch.
Your
Rick has
dressiest
no point of
Panerai.
reference for any of those words you just said. Thin,
I
elegant
mean,
dress
That's
watch.
right.
If you want it,
Actually-
like, just get a cheap Longines or something. I don't know. If you just needed to wear what, like a suit you wear one time. Yeah.
I think
Watch,
it
just wear it
really
once.
it really depends of how the christening of the boat goes. I mean, if
Mm.
it capsizes, you better take a U-boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Other than that,
If it capsizes, does a champagne bottle usually do that?
no, when it's just slides after the champagne.
Oh, is it
bottle
not in the water
splashes,
already?
I think this one is in the water, but I don't actually know. I think it is in the water, so it's not as exciting as
How
watching.
That
large
changes
is the
everything.
boat?
Didn't the Lamborghini boat just sink?
Yeah,
I kept hearing stories about this.
I think that was a Florida man to refer to our earlier.
That was in
chat.
Florida, yes.
Was it in Florida? Yes.
Yes.
I think it was 36 Florida women that sank the boat.
No, it was a
seem to be.
manufacturing defect, I think. The stairwell let in water and then it sank. Which
No, I think
sounds
it's
like
they
a
were let in
Oh.
water because a fairly small boat had 36 people on it. I'm fairly sure.
I mean, it sounds like a manufacturing defect, you know. Lawsuits are being filed already.
Lamborghini boat sink. There's bound to be
What
some
watch
good
to wear
pictures.
to Lamborghini boat sinking?
Yes.
36 women.
There we go.
Lamborghini Tonino.
Yeah, I'm just having a look here to see.
Where
How big a boat are we
Lamborghini
talking
Tonino?
about, Richard?
I'm just trying to find it. Oh, actually, I tell you, we can probably can we show weekend update from SNL?
I
Hold on a
Wouldn't
second.
try it.
We'll just find.
I'd like to know
this
how to
boat
measure boats
sinking.
in tonnage. That's a skill I don't have.
Well, anything over is it 200 tons? Right, I've got the volume.
Yeah, see, I
turned
don't know
off,
what
but we'll
200
see.
tons even means.
I'm not
What's
sure
going
what-
on here?
I'm trying to get to the bit about the boat. There we go.
I see.
Yacht carrying influencer
Mhm.
sinks.
Oh, that makes it even better. Finally, some
Colin-
risk to
Colin
that
Jost is
job.
enjoying this. There you go, some risk to the job.
That doesn't
Yeah.
look like a particularly large boat. How many people did you say were on this?
I thought there was about 30 people on it.
Whoa.
They
from-
could
from
swim.
what-
There's buildings. I mean, no one's dying there. That's a slow sinking.
Yeah.
The water's quite warm in Florida. as
Very
well.
warm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there we have it. Cool. Right.
I'm just happy it
gold
didn't happen in
Rolex,
Dubai.
deep sea. That's been.
I want to
suggested
know
by
how
James
fast it was
Watson.
going when it sank. Was
Well,
it
I thought
going at
was
Lamborghini speeds?
No, I think it was. Well, it was, and it was probably broken down, just sitting there waiting to be
Oh.
rescued. It was probably already broken before they started. Although
Made the
Lamborghini
nicest sound though
tractors, very
while
good.
sinking.
Yeah. Good. Right. On that note, thank you all for joining us in the chat. Thank you, gents, for joining us on the show. We will see you all again.
Now I
soon.
know. I want to know
Goodbye.
what the sound of a Lamborghini drowning sounds like. You know?
Just as a final one, it's just been checked that Googling Glasgow man or Edinburgh man with your date of birth produces nothing of any consequence, unlike.
Oh, I was
USA
wondering this
number
entire
one.
time.
USA number one. Yeah. On that note, goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.